Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, depending on what time you're watching this. I'm Daniel Marco, CEO of the Growth Institute, and today I'm going to talk about ImpactX, how the best CEOs create 10 times the impact with half the drama. And I've been a CEO for 25 years, and I've been a CEO coach for the last 15, and I've been helping entrepreneurs all the time scaling their companies. Really scale their company, but enjoy the ride of scaling a company. So scaling a company is hard, but really enjoying the ride and having a legacy and impact while you're doing it's really, really important. So let's talk about how you could do that. And I would like to start with this question. Are you being the CEO your company deserves? And what do I mean with this? Do you have the tools, the mindset? Are you taking the right decisions? Have you built the right team to really lead your company and take it to the next level? Do you think you're the right CEO? Let's talk about this. All right, a little bit about myself. As I said, I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years, and I've been a CEO coach for the last 15. So I've been building a lot of companies, had some great successes, some big failures, but most importantly, I've been learning through the eyes of you guys, many of you entrepreneurs, while I coach you, of what works and what doesn't work, and what really makes a great CEO that could scale a company and really enjoy the ride while you're doing it. Let me start a little bit with my story. When I was 25, 1998, I built my first company in Mexico. I built the first financial website or fintech company for the Mexican financial market. And we started growing really, really fast. And then we merged with a partner in Argentina and a partner in Brazil. And we raised $53 million from Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Microsoft, Intel, George Soros, and like amazing round, the best investors we could ever had. And then we scaled that company. At that moment, we were around 100 employees. We'd scale it to 1,200 employees and then sold it to Banco Santander for over $750 million. And I thought I was on top of the world. I was untouchable. I was an amazing entrepreneur. After that, I moved to the US, start a mortgage company to finance homes for undocumented Hispanics. That was 2004. And then 2007, 2008 came. And of course, I was the subprime of the subprime. And I was destroyed. It was a really, really humbling moment. I had to fire 120 of my employees in a day and shut down my company in a week. So when I took the decision of closing, I went to Dallas. I was living in Austin, Texas, drove to Dallas to talk with my investors. And we decided that we needed to close the company. It was the right moment and that we've lost all our money. And at the end said, great guys, so we all agree we should close the company and lose our money, but there's $1 million in debt in the company. This is how much each one should put. And they look at each other, look at me and said, hey, we lost our money that we put with you and at risk, but we're not paying that. You're responsible for paying that $1 million. So imagine I was now around 30 years old, 31. I had a daughter. I was married, living in Austin. So I drove from Dallas back to Austin and I had a conversation with my wife and I said, we lost everything. I lost all my assets. There's $1 million in debt that I'm responsible for paying. And by the way, our visa, it's attached to our company. So we have 2 weeks to pack the house and go back home. So I got severely depressed. I remember I was waking up in the middle of the night, sweating cold, sometimes crying. The bed was completely empty from all the sweating and all the stress I was having at night. And of course, waking 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And it was a rough time. I had a lot of arguments with my wife. We had a lot of divorce discussion. I've neglected my health. I gained 20, 30 pounds. I didn't have a good relationship with my daughter. She was a baby, but I really didn't spend the time. I didn't connect with her. And most importantly than anything, I felt like a failure. I felt like a fraud. I've always seen myself as an entrepreneur, and I didn't trust myself as an entrepreneur anymore. So it was a really, really rough moment. And that's one of the big things that I've seen now and learned now. Entrepreneurs, we see each other as our company. And if our company is a success, we're a success. If our company is a failure, we are a failure. And that was a big, big issue for me. So that kind of got me in a quest in really discovering what really makes a great CEO and what really makes a company scale. What are the systems and processes you need to build in a company for you to be able to scale it? So let's talk about that. And I really believe there's two types of CEOs. One is what I call John here. And you see John's trying to explain something, and you could see his team is not connected. Their eyes of everyone's looking other places. They're really not engaged in what John is trying to say. And then you meet a CEO like him, Satya Nadella. And by the way, he's the CEO of Microsoft since 2014. I am a huge Apple fan. I'm teaching this from a Mac. I have an iPhone, I have an iPad. Everything I have on iWatch, everything I have of technology is on the Mac world. But I really admire the CEO of Microsoft. I think this guy is brilliant. And if you could read about his life, I strongly recommend it. And I'm going to show one number, just one chart, to try to give you an impact of what this guy has done in Microsoft. And of course, I understand stock value is not everything, but I think this gives a very clear picture of the three CEOs Microsoft had. Bill Gates started from zero, took the company to $50 a stock, and then gave the helm of the CEO to Steve Ballmer. And Steve Ballmer around 2000 took the helm. The stock was around $50 the day Steve Ballmer took the helm of Microsoft. 14 years after, he gives the CEO seat to Satya Nadella, and the stock was worth $36.50. So he was CEO of the company for 14 years and destroyed 30% of the value. And then Satya Nadella gets the company and 5x the valuation of the company in the next 6-7 years. That's growth, that's scale. And by the way, of course, this chart is not very fair for Steve Ballmer, but really, Microsoft has 180,000 employees. They change one, and that's the impact you could have if you're the right CEO. That's how important is your strategy, your decision, the culture, the team that you build. And Satya Nadella built an amazing, amazing team, culture, strategy, and be able to scale their company the way that you see on this chart. And by the way, the big difference, he went from a know-it-all culture to a learn-it-all culture. And everyone came with a fresh mind to try to learn and be open to learning. And this is exactly what happened. And of course, the choice is yours. What side of the chart you want to be? And what I hear from entrepreneurs all the time is, I feel alone. I feel the weight of the company behind me. I don't know if I have the right tools and knowledge. And I would like to say, you're not alone. Through groups of entrepreneurs like EO, YPO, and Vistage, and all these groups, is the way we get together, all CEOs, and we help each other be able to support us in all this process. So if you really want to scale a company, EO, it's an amazing organization. I've been a member for 22 years and has carried me through this process. So here's what we're going to talk about today. No one really teaches you how to be a CEO. And as we have systems for everything we do in our business, we have a customer support system and technology system, how we develop an operation system and accounting system. And then as the CEO, show me your CEO system. How do you run as the CEO of the company? And they kind of look at me if I'm talking in French or German or a different language. Why? Because we have systems and processes for everything we do in our company, except for us, how we run the company. So let's talk about that. And by the way, I believe the system should have three main components. First, how to prioritize. You need to be able to define if we're going to go there, like define the direction of the company. These are the 5 important priorities, the typical 80-20. Then how to measure. You have to be able to measure the progress when you delegate to make sure we have a way to measure that we're having success and we're going on track. And then how to communicate. One of the biggest problems when you're scaling, one of the biggest barriers is the communication. You start growing really fast, you get a lot of people in the team, and the communication gets really, really messy. So let's talk how you could build this CEO system to help you scale your company faster with less drama. All right, so to get into that, we need to understand that companies, like human beings, will grow in stages. Imagine if you're a baby, a kid, adolescent, an adult, the food, the education, the care, the attention is completely different. It's exactly the same in a company. So we're going to talk about how a company is a startup, grow up, scale up, and then how you dominate your industry, and what do you have to do exactly in each of the stages. As an example, the US today has 32 million companies registered in the IRS. Just 96% of them go over $1 million in revenue. Imagine that 96% of the companies stay really in stage 1 and 2, and will never be above stage 2. They don't scale, and just very few companies go above the 10 million, let's say 0.4% of those companies, and just 0.06 or 17,000 companies go above $50 million in yearly revenue. So I'm going to talk about companies in two lenses. First, how the company grows in stages and what do you need to do for the company? And then most importantly, how do you have to evolve from entrepreneur to CEO? So first, let's see the view from the company, and then we're going to see the view from you on how you have to evolve to be able to scale the company. So stage 1 to 5 employees, and the focus is product development. You have to validate your business model. Whenever you build a business plan and you decide to build a company, you have a business plan and you have a lot of assumptions. This is the stage where you have to validate your assumptions, making sure your assumptions are right or wrong, and how do you have to adopt your business model to really be able to build a company that has a future. Then you need to understand the barrier, the market dynamics. How does the competitors work? When your client buys, how they buy, if they ask discount, if they return their products, all these kind of things. And that's kind of how the market works. You really need to understand the market dynamics and how to adapt your business model to these market dynamics. The ability you have to develop as a leader is marketing. Why? Because marketing works for you to communicate to your client what you want to sell them, and your client telling you if they're willing to buy, what price, model, and the rest. And that's going to help you validate your business model and do the adjustments you need. And decision is all about strategy. You have to redo your business plan, redo your business model on stage 1, now that you have the assumptions right, and then start to move on or scale to the next level. Stage number 2, a grow up. Imagine you're a kid or an adolescent. You have 6 to 15 employees. The focus is 100% on sales. Why? Because now you have fixed expenses and your sales are all over the place. You have inconsistent sales or revenue. And that creates a lot of drama. That creates a lot of stress for the founders of the company. So what you have to do here is really focus on sales and build a predictable sales system to stabilize your revenue. What you have to learn as a leader is leadership. And leadership, now you have to lead a team. It's the first time you have to verbalize your strategy. In stage 1, you're doing everything, you're taking every decision. You don't need to verbalize where we're going to go. Now you have to learn how to verbalize and then build the systems and processes to be able to delegate and be able to build systems that predict what you're going to have and be able to do systems that repeat consistently. As an example, you go to an employee and said, hey, we're going to go there. You're in charge of operations. This is your main thing you have to do. And you help them write a system or a process or a manual, a checklist, and then you delegate for that team member to fill that or continue doing that. The two big decisions you have to get right in stage number 2 is get the right team. Usually you go from generalist that you hire on stage 1 to specialist on stage 2. And then of course, get some control of your cash. If you continue to have inconsistent cash, that's going to bring you a lot of drama, a lot of stress, and will not allow you to scale. Stage number 3, now we're in a scale up. This is the right stage to scale. Stage 1 and 2, it's kind of the foundations of a scale up. And now when you get to stage 3, that's when you begin scaling. That's a priority. The focus, define the industry. Now, if you're already in third stage, usually you're very unique in some technology or in a team or the way you charge, or you bring some new innovation to the market. That's why you're able to scale. So now you start to define the industry, the pricing technology that you bring, usually begin defining the industry. The big barrier on this stage is infrastructure. In the last stage, you build a lot of systems and processes, but you build them in Excel and you write them by hand and all that. Now you have to build them with infrastructure, with technology. So you could run them thousands of times with people all over the world or in different states or in different offices. And usually you have to invest a lot of money in infrastructure. So this is the right time to build all your systems and processes, but in technology, and really build the right infrastructure to be able to scale your company. The ability you have to develop as a leader is alignment and simplification. And you could see on the chart or the graph on the left, now you have a lot of team members, you have a lot of leaders, you have several levels of leadership. And now it's very important that you align everyone and simplify the strategy. in the second stage, that you could tell everyone one-to-one what was the strategy. Now you have to be very clear the way you express that strategy. And decision is all about execution. The companies that scale are amazing executors. They're not distracted trying to look for things. They're focused, aligned, and they're just executing the model correctly. Remember, you already confirmed the model and your sales process and everything on stage 1 and 2. Now your role is executing it and be very, very good in the execution or the delivery of that service or product. And then on the fourth stage, now you become kind of a satellite around the organization. Now the focus is dominate the industry. This is the first time you start talking about product market share. Hey, I have 3%, 5% of the market share. My priority, reinvent continuously. Why? Because you get into a comfort zone. Now you have stable revenue, good clients, your systems are running, your team is doing a lot, and you start to buy a summer house or go 2-3 months on the summer on vacation to Europe. And then everyone gets into a comfort zone, and that creates a big, big problem. So the ability you have to help the team develop is adaptability, and you have to become the change catalyst. You have to bring innovation, bring new ideas, understand the trends, and help the company continuously innovate and get better and adapt to the new market dynamics. And the decisions are the 4 decisions of scaling up. And you have to rotate your focus. Every 3 months, every 6 months, you focus on one of these decisions and then go to the next level. All right. So as you could see, in every stage, demand specific capabilities or different capabilities for the company. And of course, I would expect that you will know that you're going to have different leadership styles, or you have to evolve your leadership style in every stage. So now let's talk how you have to evolve from entrepreneur to CEO of the company based on these 4 stages. So in the startup, as I said, is the startup of the product development, 1 to 5 employees. And you have to understand there's 3 main job responsibilities in every company. First is the technical work. Hey, if I have a bakery, you have someone that is baking the cakes, right? Or doing the bread or everything. They're doing the technical work. If you have a tech company, you have a tech team doing the technical work. Then you have the managerial work. And the managerial work is making sure you're paying payroll, you're paying taxes, like they pay the rent of the office, everything that doesn't add value of management, but you need to have it to keep the company alive and the lights on. And then the entrepreneur work, and that's the fun. You have to define the strategy of the company, bring the right team members in the company, sell to your clients. Really, you're kind of the voice and the vision of the company, and then aligning internal and external with all the team members, clients, suppliers, and the rest. And then stage 2, now you're a leader. Instead of working in your company, you have to start working on your company. And that's how you start to lead. But you lead one-on-one, and you have to do 2 main things. First, define direction. As I said, it's the first time you have to verbalize where we're going to go, because you're going to have to, before you delegate, you have to tell them where we're going to go and what do you expect everyone to bring you. So we recommend that you delegate using the 3 W's. Who's responsible to do what and by when, or how are you going to measure success? And that's how you delegate correctly. And then stage 3, this is a really, really hard leadership. As you saw on the last slide, you led people one-on-one. Now you have to lead people through other team members. So that's when you start playing phone, that you tell something to that leader, the leader distortions the message and tells something completely different to their team. So it's really, really important that you're very, very clear communicator, so you could bring a message and the message doesn't get distortion to the rest of the team. And then you help each of your leaders build their team and design their action plan, how they're going to run their department, who they're going to hire, and then coach them on their leadership. I believe on stage 3, you have to realize that your employees don't work for you. You work for your employees. If I have an amazing head of sales, how many sales problems I'm going to have to handle myself? None, because my amazing head of sales is going to take care of them. If I have a weak head of sales, everything's going to come through me and I'm going to have to take care of them. So my job as a leader is be able to hire the best sales manager, leader, or VP, or whatever, and then coach them for them to be better, continue growing, and working with the rest of the leaders of the company, with the rest of the departments together. So my role, instead of being their boss and tell them what to do, to coach them. I expect I'm going to be able to hire people in every department that is better than me in that department. So I cannot tell them what to do. I would expect them to tell me what they're going to do and me coach them and help them grow and see other angles and stuff like that. But here the leadership changes dramatically. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in my last slide. And then on the fourth stage, you become a satellite around the organization. The day-to-day organization runs without you. And you have to do three things. Be a strategic innovator. Now you have time to read, go to the conference, take some clients to golf and have lunch with them, and really understand what are the trends and what's going on in the company and in the industry. And then you have to be that change catalyst, bring that innovation and help the team adapt and innovate the business model, the delivery, or kind of staying with the company relevant in the industry based on how the industry is changing. And then, very important, be the chief of culture. You build a culture by design. You have to make sure the team members are living that culture by design that you built. All right, so now let's see what are the steps to going through the stages and build a model that eliminates chaos and allows your company to scale. I really believe it has three main steps. First, focus on you. People said, hey, I want to build a great company. Yeah, but if you're not a great leader, you will not be able to build a great company. And whenever you're going in a plane and they tell you, hey, if the oxygen mask come down, what they're going to do? Put the oxygen mask first. It's exactly the same. I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs that they're working 20 hours a day. They don't do exercise. They don't respect their wallet or their bank account, and everything gets to the company. So they are financially in trouble. They are overweight. They don't see their family. They're completely depleted of energy. And then they bring all this drama to the company. So you have to be able to blind or separate yourself and be able to be an amazing leader with your own rituals, have a life outside of the company, and that will allow you to be a much better leader. Then you have to build a great team. And people said, okay, I want to build a great company. And I was like, you cannot build a great company. You could build a great team, and that team is going to build a great company for you. So, and by the way, that team, they want to be led by an amazing leader. So the best thing you could do is become an amazing leader and then build an amazing team. And once you have an amazing team, they will scale your company and take your company to a next level. So to close this, I'm going to talk about three practices to start implementing ImpactX, 3 ideas you could implement tomorrow in your business and start getting some value and become a much, much better CEO. First is your morning routine. And every time I get in trouble, I realize that I stop making exercise and going to bed really late. And the first thing I do is I start waking up at 5 a.m. So usually, if you wake up 7 or 7:30, you turn off the alarm, shout to your kids for them to take a shower and go to breakfast. And then you take a quick shower, and then you shout to your kids for them to come to the car, whatever. You take them to school. By the time you get to your office, your energy is really, really low, and your stress is really, really high. And then you bring all that drama to your company. What I recommend is that you wake up 2 hours before every day, before you have to start your day. Usually my wife and my kids wake up at 7. I wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning every day. And I spend 2 hours dedicated to me. I have a great cup of coffee. I do some meditation, some quiet time. I do some exercise, and I read. I need to read. I need to learn something. So by 7 a.m., when my kids and my wife wake up, my level of energy is really, really high. I feel amazing. I kind of plan my day. And now I could start giving them value, giving them energy. Why? Because my levels of energy are great and my mindset is in a great spot. And now I could start providing value to the world, scaling my company and my family, or helping my family. So I strongly, strongly recommend. And usually when you build a strong morning routine, that will obligate you to go to bed early. So by 9:15, I'm in bed. By 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., sorry, I'm asleep. I sleep 7 hours and I wake up amazingly rested in the morning, always waking at the same time and be able to provide a lot of value. Then I separate my days in 3 time frames. And this is something I learned from Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach. He calls it the entrepreneurial time system. And you could learn more about this in this book. is that you have to divide your days in three types of days. First, focus days or productivity. Those are your typical working days that you're providing a lot of value. Then you have buffer days where you prepare to execute. As an example, this presentation, I build it in one of my buffer days. Those are the days that I have time to think. I'm sitting in my home office and I could really think and really build things and prepare to execute at my high level when I'm executing. And then I won't need to have days that are free to rejuvenate, relax, be able to sleep, do a lot of exercise, spend time with my kids. So whenever I come back to the office, I have great energy, I'm super happy, and I could really build a great company. And by the way, I strongly recommend 3 days of the week out of the office. I usually spend 1 or 2 days of the week in the office. The rest, I spend them outside of the office. So let me show you how my calendar looks. For me, my execution day is Monday, and that's what I call team day. And that's when I build everything that I need to build with my team, right? I have all my meetings with them, my marketing meeting, my leadership meeting, council call, everything. And I have all my internal meetings on Monday. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, I call them coaching days because I still do a lot of CEO coaching, and I usually coach my clients these 2 days, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and that's it. I just focus 2 days, coach them, and that's it. And then Thursday, I call my content day. That's when I produce content. I do a lot of YouTube videos. I'm writing my book and everything. And I usually spend 1 day creating content. And then Friday, it's what I call CEO day. And it's kind of catch-up day. There's a lot of things that I did not complete during the first 4 days, and I complete on Friday. But also I spend Friday thinking. I read, I understand trends. I have phone calls with clients with time to really understand where they are, how's my company, and think strategically of what do I need to do to improve my company. And by the way, this is how my office used to look before COVID. After COVID, we're all being virtual and we will continue to be virtual. But before, I did not have an office in the office. I had a conference room. And I go to a conference room, open my laptop, and every day or every hour that I was working there, I was working with someone from my team. If I had to do something about operation, I was the head of operations. If I was doing something about finance, with my head of finance. And I was with all my team, working with them on Monday all day. And then I finished Monday, turned off my laptop, go back home, and then take my laptop, and then this was a conference room. If you have an office of the CEO, that's where things get stuck and people are afraid of the room. And don't have a CEO room or a CEO office. Have a conference room, go work there and then leave. My job is not to be in charge of the operation. I have a team that is in charge of the operation. My job is to think strategically, take the right decision, build the right systems and processes. I cannot build them in the office. Every 5 minutes, someone's going to be knocking on my door. Boss, can you help me sign this? Boss, can I ask a question? And I cannot concentrate. I go to my office 1 day a week or 2 days a week. I work there, everything that I have to do. And then I leave and I have another office. I have a home office. I have a studio where I record. And that's where I do my thinking. That's where I do my planning and then prepare to go and execute at a very, very high level when I'm in the office. And this is for me the biggest change of leadership that I learned, and I've been helping a lot of CEOs go through it. Most CEOs in stage 1 and 2, they're playing checkers. And the ones that are able to successfully go to stage 3 and 4 is because they play chess. So let me explain what's the difference. Checkers, you see your chips and they're all exactly the same size, same capabilities, same color. And you have 100% control and you move them around and you have 100% control of what happens on the board. And then when you're playing chess, you look at your chips and say, hey, they're all different. They all have strengths and weaknesses. How can I position them for them to use their strengths the most? And how can I cover the weaknesses with other team members? And once I position them on the right position, then I step aside and let them operate. And now I just see them from afar. And when something is not working, I go in and I help them improve it. But then I step aside and I allow them to work. Before I coach any CEO, I ask their team, hey, what do you like about your CEO? What works? What doesn't work? All these kind of things. And I hear this consistently. Get my boss off my back. We hire them. We give them direction. We give them the KPIs. We delegate correctly, but then we don't allow them to do their work. Hey, what they're going to do, when they're going to send the email. Before you send the email, send it to me. I want to review it. If you hire an amazing team leader, then you don't have to check them. Then you don't have to micromanage them. Let them do the work. And people say, well, I don't trust them. Well, then don't hire them. If you are going to hire people that you don't trust, then you will never allow them to do their work. If you fully trust your team, then you'll give them the space. You're going to play chess with them and allow them to execute your strategy correctly. So don't play checkers, play chess. Be more strategical of who you hire, get the right team members, then position them on the right position, cover the weakness with someone else, and then let them play and run. So with this, let me ask a question. The same question I started. Are you being the CEO your company deserves? Do you have the right tools? Have the right mindset? Do you know what you're doing? Are you the best to run it? Just think about that. So this is a model of the book that I'm writing. It's called ImpactX. If you want to download the slides, you could go to this address, danielmarcos.co/impact/x-workbook. That's where you could download a workbook with a lot of the slides and charts and everything. So you could continue your journey of building your CEO system. And just to close, one story that I really, really like, Alex Leiva, CEO of Infinity Software. Alex is one of three brothers that 4 years ago, he called us and said, hey, my father's having some health issues. Me and my brothers have to step into the company to save the company. And we have no idea what is to be a CEO. What do we need to do? And we need help. And we start coaching them. We gave them some tools. And in the 4 years that we helped them go through the process, they grew the team to 70 team members. They were able to double the revenue in the company in those 4 years. But most importantly, they 5 times the valuation of the business. And just last month, got a check for $25 million selling the business. And it's one of the best emails I've got. Alex sent me an email and said, hey, Daniel, just want to thank you and Vern and all the team at the Growth Institute with all the course and everything that I took. We were able to do all of this. And last Friday, we just got a wire transfer for $25 million because we just sold the company. I'm moving to Hawaii with my wife and my little daughter, that I have a new daughter. And I'm going to spend some time there, just relaxing and being the father that I want to be. And I really, really love this story. We get these stories all the time. And it's because Alex decided to be an amazing CEO, decided that he wanted to have the right tools and do the right things. And this is kind of stories that happen after you do the right thing and you become the CEO your company deserves. Thank you very much. Hope you learned a lot. And I challenge you to become an amazing CEO, be able to scale your company and reduce the drama. Thank you.